Hello, everyone. This is John Lensmeyer here from Areteem Institute. We will get started then in just a second here while people have a chance to kind of join in. So hello to everybody who is here right now. Also hello to everyone who might be joining us watching the recording later on as well. So as we get started, I just want to use today to do a quick introduction to the kind of guided study program this summer. So a lot of you are already signed up or kind of learning some more information about it here as well. So just as an introduction here, let me just kind of go through a little bit about, again, what the program is, right? What are the advantages of doing some learning this way as well, right? So what is the whole point of this guided study? And if there's questions along the way, you can type them in the chat box. I'll get to some of them as we go along. Some of them we might hold for the end as well. But the main idea here is this is going to be an accelerated way to learn and complete a math challenge course. So what do we mean kind of by accelerated? Well, this program is meant to be done over 5 weeks. So over the next 5 weeks, kind of a quick accelerated version of one of these courses. Our normal live classes are done over 10 weeks. Of course, if you have a self-paced course, you will be able to do things as quick as you can kind of complete them. But the point of the guided study is to have that structure and have the teacher support and have all of that along with the kind of ability to do stuff a little bit quicker as well. So, right, if you're joined in one of the courses, you should have gotten all the access to the Math Challenge ebook, right? So we have the different levels, of course, but at those different levels, we all have the textbook there. So that'll be kind of your main source of the problems, right? You can always see them online as well when we get into the assignments and stuff, but that'll be a good resource to have along the way. Then each of these 5 weeks, we're gonna have weekly homework assignments, right? So the idea here is these weekly homework assignments will be broken up into a little bit of different parts along the way too. So of course, right, there's going to be some teaching aspects there when we're doing the problem. So there are recorded video lectures and kind of practice problems to go along with those recorded video lectures. So I'll talk a little bit more about these on the next 2 slides as we're talking about the different levels we have for the guided study. But generally, each kind of homework assignment will have kind of 2 parts and then a 3rd step, of course, that's going to happen afterwards. So homework kind of steps, right? First, you're going to be wanting to watch the recorded videos. All right, so there might be single videos there, might be double videos depending on the weeks and kind of things like that, right? So after you watch those recorded videos, right, you are going to work on and submit the kind of written assignment. So as part of that assignment, and we'll kind of do a demo of this at the end, we'll kind of have some questions that might be you type an answer in online, and it's graded that way. Some questions you might have to show some work, right? Things like that as well. Now, one of the things I want to stress here too, right? You can ask for help, right, if needed, right? So this time here, right, when you're doing that homework, right? So you watch the recorded videos, you then work on that written assignment, right? That is the time, that's a great time to, right, ask questions on the forum, right? Attend one of the kind of live sessions where you might get kind of more immediate feedback, things like that. But you want to kind of practice those things and kind of ask questions as you need to along the way. Now, I do want to break this down into a 3rd step, right? Where kind of you submit the assignment, right? And then you get feedback and review, right? So let's say view the feedback and review the assignment. So this is an important step too as well, right? So because this is guided, right? This is a guided study program. You're not just submitting the homework or checking it yourself, right? You will get feedback each assignment from kind of instructors, from staff along the way. So we'll comment on your kind of questions, which one you got right or wrong, right? Maybe some tips, something you missed along in a problem, right? And so it is important, and one of the pluses of this guided study idea is that you get that feedback, you can kind of see and go back and double check your work, review your work, and figure stuff out that way as well. So as I stressed kind of throughout this thing, right? This is a collaborative kind of learning process, right? We are here for support, whether we're giving you feedback after you submit the assignments or kind of answering questions while you're working on the assignments, right? You have a bunch of resources at your disposal, but you don't want to be afraid to ask for help and kind of talk with instructors, talk with other students this way as well. Okay, so to talk about the different levels a little bit, mostly just to talk about the different formats and stuff like this too. So, so before we get into those levels as well, right, just kind of schedule kind of this way too. Rough idea, right, we are now in week 1. Week 1 has, lo and behold, assignment 1, right? So every week we have kind of an assignment, and then that assignment is due the next Monday, right? So assignments are always going to be scheduled to do Monday morning at kind of 9 a.m. Pacific time. So assignments due Monday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So this is just right. Basically, the idea here is they're due at the end of the weekend, right? So just so we don't have to worry about time zones or things like that, kind of by the end of your night, Sunday night, that should definitely be before 9 a.m. Pacific time, Monday morning, right? You want to be completing those assignments. So each week we have an assignment, right? So week 2, then you're going to be working on completing assignments 2, and then kind of submitting that at the beginning of that 3rd week there. So this is the general pattern, right? You have each assignment has some video lectures. You're going to be working on problems. You're going to be asking questions on those problems if need be, and then kind of submitting that assignment the next week. So that's kind of our general. Let me highlight one more of these just so we're 100% clear with the pattern, right? Week 3, complete the assignment, and then it's kind of due there as well. Of course, all of this is kind of organized on the course page as well, right? So one of the things I'll be showing you guys a little later is that course page, and kind of we can see where you have the assignments, where the video lectures, all of those things as well. Now, to talk a little bit about the different levels and stuff here, right? So we have Math Challenge courses, right? Math Challenge 1, Math Challenge 2, Math Challenge 3, Math Challenge 4. The kind of Math Challenge 1 and 2 are broken up into kind of sub pieces here as well. So just kind of as a quick refresher, right? If you're registered or interested in kind of a MC1, this is kind of middle school, right, level mostly. So kind of if you're doing math competitions, AMC 8 and kind of MathCounts, those are all kind of things that would be covered by this kind of MC1 level here. Some beginning AMC 10 stuff there, but right, we have MC1A, B, then we have a C level. Those are kind of more middle school topics there. And then if we're talking about the Math Challenge 2 level, this is kind of high school more often. And so this is like AMC 10 and 12. So A is a little bit earlier high school, more focused on AMC 10 level material, whereas the AMC 12 stuff is more of the focus in Math Challenge 2B. Now, regardless of those, so they're all on this slide, right? These are those levels, right? So middle school level, 1A, or 1, high school level more in the 2. All of these kind of things are organized in a similar manner. So the bulk of the chapters, so every one of these books has 10 chapters. The first 9 chapters are kind of the content, the bulk of the content. The last chapter is a review. Most of the time, this is kind of math contest questions. So if you're doing a MC 1B or 1AB kind of class, you'll see some AMC 8, some MathCounts things in there. If you're doing a 2B class, you'll see some AMC 10, some AMC 12 questions in there, right? So regardless of the chapter, right, every chapter has a dedicated video lecture. So when we're talking about, and when we see an example, we'll see one of these examples in a little bit. Every kind of chapter, so if the assignment for the week is chapters 1 and 2, every one of those chapters, so chapter 1 has a video, and then kind of chapter 2 has a video, and that will typically be a week. So for all of these levels, 1 week, right? 5-week class, we have 10 chapters to cover. So pretty much this is 2 chapters per week of the guided study. So, right, as far as these kind of dedicated video lectures are concerned, let me kind of do a different color here. So each of these chapters has this dedicated video lecture, and these are going to be focused on usually the example questions. So typically we have 10 example questions in every chapter there. Now, by 10 questions, there might be some different parts. There might be part A, part B, etc. But these kind of dedicated video lectures will be covering mainly these example questions here. So those are meant to be your introduction to the ideas of that chapter, right? What are the concepts? What are the main problem-solving strategies? All of those good things kind of are going to be coming out of those kind of dedicated video lectures as well. So that is your place to see those problems kind of done. Some of them you might skip, right? Some of them you still might need to do details, right? So we do recommend, right, still try the example questions, right? Anytime you're watching a video, it is still active learning, right? So what do I mean by kind of active learning? You should be trying to do the problems, right? If you think you kind of get the idea, maybe pause the video, try to finish it, then watch the video to kind of double check your work that way as well. The other thing I want to point out about the example questions is that these are also, note example questions also have kind of short solutions in the textbook. So if you look at the ebook, right, the textbook for the course, you can see some kind of simple explanations of those example questions as well. So the video is the best place to look, but right, if you maybe one of them was skipped in the video, or you want to kind of just see it written again to remind yourself what the idea was, those are kind of featured in the ebook there too. So if you're kind of following along and can guess what's happening next, right? What do we think is happening with these quick response and problem solving questions, right? Well, these of course are focused for the homework, right? So these are used as homework here. So the quick response, these are, right, meant to be done quickly. They kind of test very basic ideas. Do you understand the concept? Do you understand the vocabulary of the chapter, right? Those are all multiple choice or just put in a number there. Problem solving questions are a little bit more work. So those will require maybe some more advanced problem solving ideas. If you're ever stuck on them, where should you look to start? A lot of times those go with examples, right? So if you're ever stuck on a problem solving question, go back and review those example questions as kind of a hint or things like that 2. So this is the kind of the general focus of an organization of each chapter, right? So every chapter, the example questions give you kind of the ideas. Those are also covered in the video lectures. They're also kind of have some solutions in the ebook. And then quick response and problem solving are used as homework. So those are the general ideas and kind of organizations for these 2 lower levels. Now, I'm going to spend less time on the higher ones because it's very similar, except, right, there's not quite as much uniformity. So Math Challenge 3, this is more of getting into kind of like advanced high school stuff. So this is more like AIME level kind of, so we might have kind of AIME level questions, things like that there. If we're getting into the MC4, that is especially more difficult. So MC4 level is talking more kind of math Olympiad topics. And so then you're getting into proofs and things like that as well. So because of the nature, when you get to more advanced questions, more proofs like that, we don't have quick response questions anymore, right? There's not a set number of chapters. Sometimes, you know, material might take longer or shorter, right? So it's a little less kind of rigorous, or not rigorous, it's a little less rigid in the structure. But we still have example questions, then problem solving questions to practice stuff there. But you want to just check the course page, right, for a little bit more about the organization. Okay. So remember, and this will be kind of a good preview, right? The course page is always the place, has kind of all the most up-to-date information about the schedule, everything like that as well. So what do I mean by the course page, right? The course page is the classes.areteam.org site, right? So this is the course page, right? All of the course pages are on classes.areteam.org. And I want to kind of show you a little bit of a demo here where we can kind of see one of these courses in action to see how you get access to things, see how those things work that way as well. So let me just share a different screen here really quickly as well. Okay, so let's look at this one right now. So hopefully people should be able to see kind of my screen now here too, right? So we have one of these examples. So this is all, remember, this is on the website classes.areteam.org. And right, of course, you need an account to go here. If you already registered, or if you register, you will create an account on this website. You will log in. You will have access on the My Courses at the top of the screen. You'll have access to this course. And this will be kind of your one place to always look at stuff. All of your kind of information is here. So a couple of things I want to just point out. Right, first of all, we have all of the schedules and stuff listed here too. So we're in week 1 right now, right? We have the different weeks. We have here, this is the 2A combinatorics. So we have the assignment, complete the 2 chapters of 2A combinatorics, watch the video lectures, right? Recorded lessons, and then complete the 2 chapter assignment. So it's 2 chapters, 2 practice problems for each of those as well. Now, in terms of the video lectures, right? So those are all at the top, right? Our video lectures are available in one place, just so it's easy if you want to go back to previous ones, don't want to kind of find which week it was, right? You know, oh, I want to look at chapter 3 or chapter 2, blah, 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 right? It's all in kind of one place here. So if you click on this link, you will be taken to a page that has all of the video lectures there, and then you just click the video lecture you want, right? So here we have the video lecture 2, right? We have our little window to play this. If you want to make it full screen, you can of course make it full screen, right? So you could make it full screen, watch it big on the screen, and kind of go from there. If you click this button again, you will hide that one, right? Say we want to look at a different lecture there, video lecture 4. They're all available in this one place. So that's how you access the video lectures. If we go back to the main page, I also want to talk a little bit about the assignments. So with the assignments, right, we have our assignments and you're going to be clicking them here as well. Now, every one of these is technically a quiz, right? Just that is the system's name for the assignment, right? So to start, you click the attempt quiz now. One thing I'll say, right? There is no, just because it's called a quiz, right? Normal homework assignments do not have time limits. So there's no harm in starting it, right? You can click the attempt quiz now. You can get started on the quiz. There is no time limit. We then have kind of different questions to answer this way. So remember, 2 portions for most of these courses. Quick response questions first. So the first 10 problems are quick response questions. These are all here. We see some multiple choice ones, right? In this case, I think this week is, because it's one of the earlier ones, is all multiple choice, right? So here we have all multiple choice. Sometimes there will be answers, like you put in an answer of 52 or something like that as well. So the quick response questions will be automatically graded. Now, we do want to show work for the problem solving. So, right, let me just kind of separate these into 2. So quick response, right, these are kind of auto grade, right, no work needed for those. But when we get into these problems here, the practice problems, please show your work, right? So practice or problem solving, right? So these are kind of graded, teacher graded. Show your kind of work and reasonings, things like that. You don't have to simplify your answers all the way sometimes, right? Or if you're doing algebra, you can leave an answer, you know, like x squared plus 2, those types of things here as well. So all of these questions do match the book, right? So these are all questions, right? Homework questions are from the book, but just for ease of use, right? So if you want to look at them in the book first and then kind of come in and submit them online, that's perfectly fine. But these all are from the book, but then what you're doing here that's different from the quick response, right, is because we're asking you to show work here, we want you to kind of either be submitting a typed answer, right? So you can type your answers to submit here, right? Or, right, the recommended way to do this usually is, right, you can submit a file here, right? So why is this kind of recommended? You can either kind of type in a document, right, or kind of scanned, right, handwritten paper, right, etc. So maybe you kind of do it on a piece of paper, then you scan it in and kind of submit it at the bottom here. Or maybe you kind of write it out, you take a picture of it and kind of submit it as one photo or something there. So those are kind of the ways to submit the homework that way as well. Now, one thing I do want to say here is you want to be sure to submit, right? So be sure to submit the assignment when you're done. It'll automatically submit a kind of assignment when you're kind of complete with it that way as well. So let me just go back to the main page right now. One of the things I want to stress is that after it is submitted, right? So notice here we see this summary of previous attempts. So if you click on the assignment again, you will be able to see, right, you can continue. Or, right, after it's graded, you'll see feedback here. So this is one thing that's good to stress. This is where you can go back to once you submit it, right? Notice there's a review page or button here that's missing because this is in progress right now. But after it's submitted, after the quiz is closed, then you'll be able to go back and see the feedback of the assignment here as well. So that's a very, very helpful thing to kind of keep in mind, that this is part of that loop, right? Submit the assignment, get feedback on the assignment as well. One last thing I want to quickly point out here, we also have a link to the online discussion forum. There's more information about the online discussion forum here as well, but remember, you can use the forum, right, as one of the easiest ways to ask questions. Forum is the easiest place to ask for help. I will stress that again on one of my final kind of slides there as well, but that's kind of the best place to kind of ask for help. Tell us what you did, tell us your thoughts, and then we can kind of go from there with some hints or ideas or other resources that way too. Now, let me go back to the slides, but kind of as we are doing this as well, right? I want to stress again, right? This is the best place, right, to check for kind of up-to-date information, right? If you're worried about something for the course, right, especially now that it's kind of started, check that course page, right? Look at the course page. It has the schedule, it has information about the video lectures, homework assignments. Any live sessions will be kind of, information will be put there, right? Like we put the information for this overview there as well. That's your kind of best place to look for information there. So one final stress, right? This is something we're kind of working together with, right? Confused, ask on the forum, right? We'll be giving you feedback on the assignments. Read that feedback. If you have a question back to us, right, you can ask questions that way too. It's not like I do a problem, I submit it, it's done, right? You want to go back, look at that question again, ask questions if you need to, those kind of things as well. So at different points in time, right, we will also have ways to get a little bit more immediate feedback, right? So these are going to depend on how much help people need, right? We're going to be in touch with everybody. But, right, sometimes we'll have places where we'll have a dedicated time in the forum that if you ask a question, we'll kind of quickly give you responses in the forum. Other times we'll have kind of meetings like this one where people can drop in to kind of ask questions. I will say the first of these kind of drop-in live sessions will be held on Friday. So I will be holding, right, a drop-in session on Friday, right? Link on the course page. So again, everything you need to know is kind of happening on the course page, right? So we're doing this one for sure live this first week, just as people maybe have more questions as well. But kind of we'll keep everyone updated on the course page for what's going to be happening in kind of future weeks as well. So one thing I do want to kind of clarify about these live office hours, right? By a drop-in session, right, this could be any of the levels, right? Right? And come with questions, right? This isn't like a live meeting where we're going to go over problems, right? It's going to be dedicated to asking questions people have, right? So you can't just show up. You kind of need to show up saying, I tried the homework, right? Try the homework first. If you get stuck on a problem, then you can show up, right? Ask a question about that. Maybe there'll be some other people doing different levels. You might have to wait a little bit, right? It's a little bit more informal, but it's a good way to try to get some questions answered in a kind of timely manner that way as well. But, right, forum is also a great way, right? If you have a question, just immediately post it on the forum, right? We have our whole team of instructors. We all have access to the forum. We all get notified when there's a question on the forum. So that's a real great way to kind of ask for help, right? So this is probably the best way. If you're ever stuck on something, ever have any questions about this, the forum is a great place to get started there as well. So that was a brief demo of the main things. If there are questions, I'm happy to answer questions quick in the next couple minutes. I'll just put some contact information here as well, right? The different websites, our main site, our classes site, right? If you want additional practice problems, the ZIML site is a kind of great place for finding kind of additional practice resources and additional kind of problems there too. So this is a great resource. So this is a free resource for extra practice. So I would recommend people check out that site there as well. And of course, besides the forum, right, if you have more just general questions about the course, want to register for a new one or add a new version, another second guided study course, anything like that, we're available by email, phone, right, WeChat, some different accounts there as well. But I will just stick around this minute if there are any questions. So if anyone has any questions, you can kind of let me know in the kind of chat box there too. Otherwise, this kind of does bring us to the end of this kind of demo, right? Overview of what's kind of going on in the course and some tips for how to get started. My biggest tip, of course, is get started early, take a look at the material, ask questions when you have them, and we're in this together, right? So communication will be key for kind of getting the most out of your guided study. Okay, so unless there's any questions, okay, so yeah, so per week then, yeah, so a good, yeah, we have kind of the 2 videos, and for a lot of the levels, it will be, so let me kind of go back to here. So a good question about kind of like how much time things will take, right? So for these chapters, right, we have basically the 2 videos, right? So the 2 videos, right, are kind of between, right, 2 to 3 hours in total. Now, especially since it's a recorded video, right, sometimes this may be longer if you're kind of doing what I recommended earlier in terms of, right, might take longer if you pause to work, etc. Right? So these are meant to be kind of done where it's interactive kind of that way. And then the homework, it all depends on kind of how quickly you can solve problems there too, right? So then, right, each chapter typically has kind of 20 homework questions, right? So this will be, right, 40, right, plus questions per week. So kind of we usually say, so you'll spend a couple hours, you know, watching the videos, then a couple hours doing the homework, right? At least probably 5 or 6 hours if you're taking one of these courses, probably that's about the minimum, right? If you study these a little bit in more detail, it might kind of take a little bit longer that way too. And especially depending on the topic, when we have the 10 quick response, those are pretty much 10 quick response questions. the problem solving, some of them might have A, B, C, so that'll be typically a few more than kind of 10 additional questions. So yeah, usually we would say kind of 5 or 6 hours minimum per week. Of work, kind of depending on how quickly you do the practice problems, how much of the review you do that way as well. Yeah, so that's kind of the general kind of structure of that. Were there other questions about the kind of structure or anything else? So yeah, that's a good question to kind of clarify the workload per week. But again, that will depend on the student that way too. Okay, so looks like questions are dying down a little bit. Yeah, so unless anyone has any more questions, do please let me know. Otherwise, I just want to say thank you in case people need to start leaving and stuff. Thank you guys for joining me today. And hopefully a lot of you will be working hard the next 5 weeks on these problems and things like that as well. Okay, so I'll stick around another 30 seconds. Maybe I'll turn off the video right now, but I'll stick around another 30 seconds in case there's any more questions. But goodbye, everyone.